Hello, hello. Okay. All right, thank you everybody for gathering here. My name is Bill Pilger. I'm here to speak on behalf of the Honolulu Tenants Union. We're here to stand in solidarity with Union Plaza tenants who are facing harassment, threats of eviction from the landlord, Chad Waters. And so I'm going to start with reading a statement we prepared that gives a little bit of an overview of the situation. So I'll begin now. Today we are here to call attention to Chad Waters' illegal actions and inhumane treatment of Union Plaza tenants. On September 27th, Union Plaza tenants got a notice from their landlord, Chad Waters, to vacate their home in 4 days. This is a violation of Hawaii Revised Statutes 521, Section 71, which requires landlords to give a 45-day notice for month-to-month leases and a 10-day notice for week-to-week tenants. No alternative housing or accommodation was offered to any tenants. On October 2nd, there was a notice taped to the entrance of Union Plaza stating that the electricity would be shut off on October 6th. 4 days later, the power was shut off. And until this day, tenants in Union Plaza have been without power. For 1 month, tenants have been forced to live in darkness once the sun is down, to resort to climbing as many as 9 flights of stairs with no proper disability accommodations, and to go without functioning refrigerators, stoves, fans, and other basic appliances that require electric power. After the power was shut off, several tenants attempted to take legal action by filing TROs in district court to try and get their power turned back on. However, Chad Waters has not been showing up to hearings. This causes significant delays to any immediate relief that tenants can attain as hearings get postponed. As the court process drags on for tenants seeking a basic human right, electricity, the conditions of the building continue to deteriorate. We as tenant union members have advocated to different institutions that the tenants were told to contact: the state legislature, the Department of Planning and Permitting, and the Office of Consumer Protection. We reached out over 30 times to Josh Green's office. We reached out and spoke to our state legislatures, who are unable to help with enforcing the residential landlord-tenant code. We finally heard back from the governor's office only this last week, which told us that the governor was unable to meet with us. They then forwarded our concerns to the Office of Consumer Protection. Though the Office of Consumer Protection gave us information, they also told us they were unable to help the tenants with filing complaints. We spent hours, we spent days tracking down whose responsibility is it to enforce the law, only to be told that the institution in charge of enforcement is unable to help with litigation to enforce the law. By allowing Chad Waters to get away with this, we are allowing someone to get away with gross mistreatment of tenants. What type of message does this send to other landlords? This tells them they can get away with abuse of tenants, whether intentional or not. People have had to uproot their whole lives and experience extreme harm under horrific conditions. This is violence. Inaction and refusal to enforce the law is enabling Chad Waters' violence against the tenants at Union Plaza. He must be held accountable by the institutions that claim to uphold and enforce the law, our state and city executive branch. Thank you.
I'm also a tenant here at 1136 Union Mall. I moved in February, And it was misrepresented for sure. Whenever I moved in, I was told that I would have a shower, I would have a kitchen, I would have a bathroom. He knew that I had children moving in with me as well. And I'm just going to go, I prepared a statement, so I don't go off subject. I'm just going to go ahead and read that statement. Good evening. Again, my name is Christina Jordan. My unit here is 201 on the second floor. Now, about the second floor, the electric has actually been off on the second floor since the end of June. And this, unlike the rest of the building, this has been an ongoing issue for the second floor. They were shut off in October, the rest of the building, and that made it completely unlivable to be able to get in and out. As you see, I'm injured. And this injury also happened here at one of the unpermitted showers at Conversions because there was no drainage, no proper drainage. So I ended up injured here as well. So because of that, whenever they had the shut-off notice that ECO gave in May, they came around and they posted notices on our door saying that if you were disabled, that you needed to leave the building immediately for your own safety because there would be no electric. So at that time, I had already been having conversations with Chad Waters about the livability of the unit. We had no AC since March. Now, we also have no windows in the unit, so there's no point of egress. So there's one entrance, one exit only, and no ventilation, air conditioning. When you shut the air conditioning off for the building, our unit was over 100 degrees. We had a lot of issues with that because there was no security to the building either. So while we were forced to crack our door open for the smallest amount of air, we had vagrants coming in and out of the building at all times, peeking their nose into where we're sleeping. So it was a huge security concern, and it was something that he had addressed many times and told us that we would be moved up to the third floor, we would be moved to this floor, and none of those promises ever came true. So what ended up happening, unfortunately, is one of my family members, who was a minor, was assaulted here in this building as a result of that. So again, good evening. I'm Christina Jordan. Many of us, when we first moved into Union Mall, Chad Waters, the managing member of the property ownership group, misrepresented the condition and the legality of the apartments. He promised repairs, safety upgrades, permits, and stability that never came. Instead, what we received were unsafe living conditions, repeated power shutoffs, and mounting financial pressure from someone who continually shifted the goalposts. Over the months that followed, Chad made promise after promise, assuring tenants that if we helped him to renovate or repair the building, that our labor would actually count towards our rent. And this happened for a lot of the tenants here, and this is what put them in arrears. Because these weren't casual offers, they were actual work for rent agreements. They were discussed and then oftentimes written and recorded. So that in that, the tenants thought that they were safe because he would present them with terms. But then, as we found out later on, he just erased those hours. So what he did was he filed for eviction on people that he put in the position to be evicted by telling them that their rent was paid through work hours, and then taking those off the table and saying, now you owe me a bunch of money, you have to get out. And that happened with a lot of the people here in the building. Tenants painted, they cleaned, they performed electrical and maintenance work, and in some cases even worked full-time hours under his direction, and all for his benefit and profit. But after the work was done, Chad erased those credits, he denied payment, and then he declared the tenants in arrears, representing those false debts to the court as if we had never paid a dime. In reality, our time, labor, and sweat equity were payment, and he knew it. He exploited people's trust, their financial vulnerability, and their need for affordable housing, while using their own work to improve the property at no cost to him. To make matters worse, tenants who questioned him or even requested written accounting were threatened with eviction, lockouts, or retaliatory treatment. This isn't just unethical, it's a pattern of deception and economic coercion. For myself, my apartment, my door was ripped off the hinges and the contents of my apartment were empty. While he knew, and never evicted me legally, but he knew I wasn't in the building because he had no electric there, and because of my disability, I could not go up and down the stairs. And I have all those text messages and all that documentation as well. So, to make matters worse, we are calling on the city and the state officials to, number one, investigate the financial misrepresentation of tenant accounts at 1136 Union Mall. Number two, audit the work for rent agreements and hours logged by residents under Chad Waters' direction. Number three, enforce restitution and rent credit adjustments where labor was performed but compensation was denied. Number four, hold Union Mall Development Group accountable for violations of the Hawaii Residential Landlord Tenant Code and related wage and labor laws. I would also request that the court recognize and pierce the corporate veil of this LLC, because this is abuse. This is him hiding behind this LLC. So to Chad Waters and his associates, stop exploiting people and their labor. To our leaders, please stand with the residents of Union Mall and ensure that no landlord in Honolulu can profit from deceit, unpaid labor, or retaliation against tenants who speak up. Mahalo.